So this is after 24 hours of slow cooking in my 22-quart roaster oven. This is my leftover, I think it was about 14.5 pound turkey carcass. I roasted mine, so this was the bones. I did add in the neck, and I didn't put in the giblets because I was afraid that might make it a little bitter. That might have been a mistake. I don't know. And then I've added roasted chicken carcasses that I've been saving up in my freezer, and some chicken backs and stuff like that. So this is going to be a really rich broth. I added some peppercorns, some real salt, some apple cider vinegar, a little turmeric, and fresh garlic. And after about 18 hours of cooking, I will add some carrots and celery, and it should be absolutely delicious. So I hope that you're not throwing away those turkey carcasses. They have other purposes. Hi guys, Brandy here. Welcome back to Sewing Back. And today I wanted to kind of just bring you here in the kitchen to start a couple things. Actually, a couple things I've already started, and I think I'm going to title this video for after Thanksgiving, tidying up, buttoning up some of our items. So for me, that meant taking that my roasted turkey carcass and starting a batch of bone broth in my big roaster oven. And what I ended up doing with that was I want to say probably about 5 chicken roasted carcasses in my freezer. That's typically what I do. I just take, whenever we have stuff like that, I take those bones and I will freeze them until I have enough to do a big batch of bone broth. And then I will pressure can it up. You also know, if you've seen my video before on the chicken bone broth, I typically will go to the Marietta Farmers Market. There is a farmer there who sells chicken feet, ready to go, clean chicken feet that you can make bone broth out of. That it is very rich in collagen, and so I really like doing that. Now they're on break after Thanksgiving. I think they took a couple weeks off, and rightfully so. And so I decided to mix my turkey with my chicken to make a poultry bone broth. And I've already tasted it. It has such a deep flavor. It's really good. It's been cooking for about 48 hours now. And I'm fixing to turn my roaster off because I typically let it simmer for about 48 hours. And I have these big jars that have been, these are gallon-sized jars. And I showed this before when I did my bone broth, my chicken feet bone broth video. I like to use these for once the broth is cooled down. You don't have to do this. I just prefer to do this. Once it has cooled down, kind of come to room temperature, I will pour off the broth. In other words, I will get rid of all the bones. I have carrots in there, I have shallots, it has the peels, onion peels, all that stuff, and garlic, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be separating that out so that I just get the broth, and then I like to put it in these 2 jars and refrigerate it overnight so that the fat can come up to the top of the jar. I can skim that off. I can get most of the fat out because it's pretty fatty. Adding the turkey with the chicken, to me, I can tell it's very rich with that. And so I don't want to get rid of all of it, but I also don't want to have too much of it. So I like to kind of defat my broth. You may not like to do that. If you don't, then once you've got it cooked, you can certainly jar it up and pressure can it. If you don't have a pressure canner, you could certainly, well, you could jar it up as long as you left enough head space. You can freeze it like that. You can also just do, once it cooled down, you could put it in freezer bags and freeze it by the cupfuls, however many cups you think you might need for recipes, and freeze it in your freezer. I've seen some people who like to do ice trays, and they fill it up so that they can pull out however many they might want for, you know, like if they were making rice or something like that. So I want to get these in my dishwasher. So this is one of the projects, because these have been sitting on the shelf and they're dusty. And so I want them to have a really good cleaning. So I'm just going to put these in, and I'm going to turn on my dishwasher in just a moment. When I finish the next project, because I have a project outside. It is beautiful today. I started a video yesterday talking about my chickens, and so that will be a separate video, but it is time to clean out the coop for fall, and I want to get it done while it's warm. And it's a nice weather, it's dry outside, so it'll make the job a little bit easier as I wheelbarrow out the last 6 months of their hemp bedding that's in their coop. So that's kind of my goal, to get that done this afternoon. But while I'm going to be working on that, I have a project in here that I want to be working for me that I can finish up later on. And that is my pie pumpkins that I grew in my garden this year. I am ready to get them prepared and put up in my freezer so that when I need them, they'll be ready to go. Now I have a video that I talk about your porch pumpkins, like your big jack-o'-lantern pumpkins, and how you can cut them up, put them in your Instapot, and then you can use your immersion blender, and then you can just cup it out into freezer bags and put it in your freezer. And I have a big jack-o'-lantern I'm going to do that with, not today, probably sometime this week. But the biggest issue that I like that one, I like to do that with those bigger pumpkins, because what I'm fixing to do, I can't really do with the big jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. It's too big. But with these are sugar pie pumpkins. I'm actually going to cut off the stems. I'm going to wash them again. I had washed and dried them after they cured, and I had put white vinegar around the skin just for storage. And these have kind of been my decorations. I had them on my table for Thanksgiving and all that. But I want to wash them again, and then I'm going to let them dry, and I'm going to cut off the stem, and then I'm actually going to put them in my oven and roast them whole, just like that. I'm going to put them on a baking sheet, and I'm going to roast them at 200 degrees for, I think, somewhere between 2 to 4 hours. And so that's why I want to get this started before I head outside, so that this can be working while I'm out there working. And it won't be clogging up my kitchen when I need my kitchen for dinner time. So that's kind of what I'm working on today. I will say, if you did not grow pie pumpkins in your garden this year, but you want to put pumpkin in your freezer, pumpkin is so good for you. It has lots of things you can do with it besides all the sweet things. It's also really good for your animals, and so it's not a bad one to have on hand, as long as you're not adding things that animals shouldn't consume. If it's just straight up pumpkin, which is how I freeze mine, that can be really great to be a little supplement that you give to your animals. And if you have chickens, of course, they like it too. So, but dogs in particular, they really like it. It's really good for them. And so another good reason that if you're at your grocery store right now, or probably in the next week or so. If you haven't already seen discounts on pumpkins, you probably will. And a lot of them will have these pie pumpkins pretty reasonable because they want to get rid of them. So another thing I had a couple of people ask me was about this cover from my small business Saturday shopping that I did. I showed in that haul. And what this is this is for when you have a loaf that's rising. This is a reusable cloth. It's washable. I saved the package. It says dough riser, save it. And it's 100% cotton, and it is for your fermentation type breads, your sourdoughs. Let's see. It says your purchase will support education without borders. And so this one was actually a good one to invest in. It's 100% cotton. It is food safe, easy care. It's machine washable, reusable. A lot of times I have used plastic seal, and I'm sure I will still, but I'm trying to get away from so much plastic use if I can. And I think this is beautiful. I love it. I cleaned it, and so I just dampened it, and it's actually fixing to go into my microwave drawer because it stays pretty warm in there, and it's a great bread proofer for me. So I just wanted to show you what that was. I actually purchased that on the Marietta Square. There's a shop called The Keeping Room, and it has all kinds of kitchen accessories, and it has like some food like jams, jellies, like specialty items like that, but more of it is like kitchenware stuff and baking and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, I did get a question, so I just wanted to show this. I paid $10. So okay, so this is the big daddy crock here, and I'm going to take out my weights. I just washed my hands, and I cleaned my jars here. This smells so good. And grating that garlic will be the only way I make kraut now. Everyone who has tasted it has loved it. All right, so I'm just gonna be picking it up because I just think this is the easiest way. I'm gonna start filling my jar with it. The stem had come off, and it looks like I may have some pest damage on this one, so I'm just gonna feed this one to the chickens and play it safe so I don't find any little critters in there after I cook it. So I just wanted to show you how to get the stem off. And I mean, technically you could probably leave it on if your oven's tall enough. I have a convection oven, and I'm afraid this might hit the fan. Hard to do. That thing's tough. Let's see. How about you just do that? How about you just pop it off? That's what I did. That looks pretty good. I've washed this. I've got 2 pans to set them on. The main reason you want the pans is if something were to cook over or out, you don't want that going in your oven. So let's see if any of these other ones come off pretty easy. One of them, the stem came off when I picked it. So I don't have to do that one. So put that there. So I'm cooking 6 of them. And one of the other reason I wanted to do this in the oven was This one's prickly. There we go. The other reason I wanted to do this in the oven is because these, I'm hoping when you put them in the oven like this, they're not going to have as much water. They're going to be a little bit drier. And for baking certain things, you may not want a super wet pumpkin. So that's why I wanted to do some in the oven and see if they're, to see if there is a difference. If there's no difference, then I'll just go back to doing them all in the Instapot. All right, put that one there, and I got one more stem. And you don't put anything on them, you just put them in like that, just at that low heat. Now my new oven, I didn't realize it, the lowest it goes down is to 250. So that's where mine are gonna have to cook, is at 250. And I wonder if I should put parchment on it. I don't think so, I'm not going to. I'm just gonna put them in like this and we'll bake them, and that'll be that. The bone broth looks like. Now it's hot, it's coming down. I just turned it off, and that's what it looks like right now. And then I will strain it. I think that's the word I was looking for. I don't remember what word I used, but I will strain all this out so that I'm left with just the bone broth in those big jars. Alright, so we're going to get that one and this one. But you'll be able to see I can fit all of these in here. So I'm going to put this over here. And then this one's going to go right there. Oops. And they're not touching anything. So that'll be good. And I don't have to worry about it. I won't even set a timer because I know it's what time it is. And those were the projects I wanted to show you. So those were some of the projects I wanted to show you. If you had a turkey carcass left over, or maybe you made bone broth, don't throw that out. That is valuable. Have valuable minerals and things for your body, really good for you. And like if you have a sore throat, there's nothing like heating up a little bit of bone broth and sipping on it. So yeah, don't waste that. And if you already threw it away, we'll start saving when you have chicken bones, any of that kind of stuff. Start saving it, put it in freezer bags, and you can make your own bone broth. And a lot of people don't know this, but you can actually take beef bones, chicken bone, you can kind of put them all together to make your broths. Totally doable. And it just melds different flavors, and so it's fun to kind of experiment. The other thing I wanted to show you was I ended up getting, I guess I ended up with 2 gallons? No, that's a half gallon. So I ended up with 1 gallon of Kraut in jars. And so I've got this all ready to go, and I'm gonna put that in the fridge and we'll just be eating on that. Fixing to start the dishwasher as soon as I put my knife and stuff in there. The bone broth is cooling down. My pumpkins are in the oven. If you didn't grow any pumpkins, like I said, check out your local grocery stores. You're gonna find those deep discounts because they don't want to keep all those pumpkin displays. And so this is a great way to use it. If you don't want to do it in your oven, you want to follow the Instapot method, I'll link that video in the description. So with that, I need to get outside when I have enough daylight so I can go scoop some poop and clean out my chicken coop. Scoop some poop and clean out the coop. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, if you found value in the video, would appreciate a thumbs up. If you are liking our content, please subscribe to the channel, or if you know someone who might find these things of interest, we'd love for you to share our channel. With that, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Y'all, these I pulled out after 2 hours. These were the 2 smaller ones. and it only took 2 hours. This one probably could have come out at 3 hours, but I was out in the coop, and so these actually were in the oven for about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and so they turned out really pretty. They need to cool before I cut them open, and then I will take the seeds, and I'll take all of the stringy parts that we don't want, any of the parts I don't want to collect for my pumpkin puree. I will kind of put in like a bowl to give to the chickens tomorrow, or actually I just gave them the other pumpkin, and I'll probably just put it in like a bag and save it for the weekend and give them that treat then, and just put it in the fridge. So I also just wanted to preview. I didn't really talk much about this other than I told you about the cover. Look at that. That's a beautiful sourdough. I can't wait to bake that up tomorrow. So this is my test one. So anyway, I just wanted to, because I pulled those out, I wanted you to see how pretty they were. And like I said, I will walk you through, you know, getting everything out, pureeing it up, so you can put it in your freezer. So let me show you how I am mashing up this pumpkin. So I've just been doing that with my immersion blender, and I can show you how I'm bagging them up. I'm using these Flex and Seal quart freezer bags, and so I've got 2 of them in the bag, and I'm going to finish and see how many more. I'm doing them in 2-cup measurements because most of my recipes call for 2 cups of pumpkin. If you buy a can of pumpkin, it's 2 cups. So that's how I freeze mine. And I will get them labeled. And I'm going to finish getting them bagged up. And then I will show you how many I get when I get done. Okay, guys. So essentially what this came out to was I did 6 pie pumpkins. And I got 6 2-cup bags of pumpkin puree. So that's 12 cups. I also ended up with some extra that didn't want to break up too well, and I've already given my dog some of this. I'm just going to put it up in the fridge, and that can be like a little treat here and there for them that they can eat on. I'm going to be real honest. I hated this. I hated doing this way. I liked being able to put it in the oven and do other things, but this was a pain in the butt. The Instapot was a much better way, in my opinion, to go. I don't feel like I got any more or less than I did when I did the Instapot. So I don't know that I'll ever do it this way again. I will probably always follow my Instapot method, and I will link that video in the description, as well as my bone broth ones, how to can it and all that kind of stuff. I did want to show you, this isn't the gallon, this was the little bit that was left over. I have choir practice tonight, so I can't can it up tonight. But if you can see, that's a beautiful bone broth, and the fat is this little bit of cap on the top, and I just spoon that out when it's cold. I heat it up, and then I can it. And like I said, I will link those videos in the description because it's all the same for bone broth. And if you don't have a pressure canner, you cannot water bath that, freeze it. You just want to make sure you give yourself enough headspace for as your broth expands, just like if you were going to freeze milk or something like that, and you can freeze it. So with that, I hope you found this these little projects helpful for you. If you have some of these same items left over from Thanksgiving, don't let them go to waste. And we'll see you next time. Bye.